Shouting is not good. No. That is a problem.
Being a new or a first-time mother is a joyful thing, but it also comes with adjustments as new mothers try to handle the changes that come with being a first-time parent or handling the newborn. Unfortunately, for some new or first-time mothers, the postpartum depression period can come with a type of depression known as postpartum depression. The postpartum depression symptoms can range from mild baby blues to severe cases where the mother may want to kill herself, the baby, or kill both of them. This evening, we get to learn on what more can be done to alert women and their families and loved ones towards the dangers associated with the postpartum depression. On Health Check this evening, the conversation is on understanding postpartum depression. We get to learn how postpartum depression can be identified, treated, and prevented. We have two ladies in studio. One of them went through postpartum depression and will be sharing her experience and story so as to help you, the viewer, and many others. Her name is Jane Mikwa. We also are honored to have Margaret Njehia, a clinical psychologist, ready to take us through tonight's topic. Please remember to share this link with as many people as possible who can benefit from today's topic about awareness on postpartum depression. Remember, as always, we are live on Hope TV and our pages are at Hope TV Kenya on Facebook and YouTube. And you can engage with us on our WhatsApp line 0708 222 323 or the SMS line 22232. Good evening, my name is Grace Mutiso and welcome to Health Check. I hope you had a beautiful week. Let's start the conversation about postpartum depression. Let me get straight to our guest and I start by introducing immediate guest on my right. Good evening.
Good evening, Grace.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Kindly introduce yourself to our viewers.
Oh, thank you. My name is Jane Mikwa. I'm a performance coach. My professional performance coach in the wider circles known as human resource. I'm a mother of 3. My firstborn is 14. Just joined Form 1. Yeah. My secondborn is 5 years, and then I have my lastborn, not acting, my lastborn,
Yes.
3 years.
Yes.
Yes, and I'm happy. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah. Interesting. Karibu sana, Jane. You know, many people say this one is an acting one. There is a pension one coming. But you're so clear.
That one I'm clear. We have had a discussion with the Lord.
Yes. Thank you. Welcome, Jane.
Yeah.
Welcome. Introduce yourself to us, please.
Thank you very much, and good evening, Grace.
Good evening.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you, Jane. My name is Margaret Njehia. I am a psychologist, and I'm also a child therapist. I work with the Technical University of Kenya as a university psychologist. I am a mother of 2 adults and a grandmother of 1 3-year-old, and happy to be here for us to talk about postpartum depression, what it is, and most importantly, how can we support.
Yeah.
Yes.
Welcome, Margaret.
Thank you.
You know, I was asking you, you said you're a mother and a grandmother, and I believe Jen and I in the same WhatsApp group. So we wanted to ask, postpartum depression there during your age, your season?
I would say yes. I think without a shadow of doubt it was there. It's probably just that we didn't even understand what it was. Yeah. And probably the people around us also didn't know. There wasn't that awareness. So people suffered, and it could have been there. But also a difference in the sense that again, during my time, I think we had a lot more of the social support system. People coming to help you with the baby, with the cooking. So, like the mothers who had other children, they would always have someone, a cousin, an auntie, your own mom, coming to sit with you for a couple of days, sometimes even months, and you have people helping around. I think as I was growing up, I remember even seeing in the village. So you have women coming to help you fetch water, firewood, cook, go to the shamba, and do everything else. And I think the only responsibility that young mothers had then, or new mothers had then, was to take care of the baby, because there was help.
Yes.
And help was available. But you can imagine a mother who had a baby during the COVID period, what that meant for them. Yeah, so it could have been there. Maybe we didn't have the awareness, but I also want to believe that there was a lot more social support than we have right now. Yeah.
I know we've jumped ahead of ourselves, but now help us define what postpartum depression is before we get to Jane's story.
Post and partum and depression. So post is after. Partum, you're talking about after delivery, and then you're talking about depression. So when you talk about postpartum depression, is what mother, not any other person, is likely to suffer, which falls under the broad category of depressive disorders or depressive illnesses. But the key word here is post, and then it is after delivery. So that's why it's referred to as postpartum depression. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Now, Jane, let's come to you.
Yeah.
So you've told us you have 3 children.
Yes.
And just to lay the foundation, did you experience postpartum depression on all the children?
On one.
On one.
The middle baby.
Tell us what happened.
So I had my first baby. The gap between the first baby and the second baby was 8 years. So I'd waited, and those ones, you are coming to a point where you're like, maybe for me it was written I will only have one. Then surprise, I discover that I'm expecting a baby. So pregnancy was okay until 4.5 months into the pregnancy. It was discovered that I had placenta previa, low-lying. Placenta previa stage 4 is where the placenta, instead of attaching where it's supposed to be attaching on the top, it attaches on the lower end of the womb.
Yes.
And it's a very dangerous condition. So I had to be put on bed rest from 4.5 months. So my pregnancy was very difficult, because you can imagine your 4.5 months, you cannot move. Basically, it's more often than not you're supposed to be lying down.
Yes.
Actually, the doctor had preferred that I go in to be hospitalized, but we imagined 4.5 months being hospitalized was going to be too much. So at the end of it, we came to a sort of agreement that I'm going to follow his instructions and I'm going to stay at home. So more often than not, I was lying down more often. I don't go out and all. So it's like basically I had to cut off everything. I was not in ministry. I was at home.
Yeah.
So the pregnancy was very difficult and also very fear. It was very traumatizing, because every day that ended, you are thanking God that I'm still alive. The condition did get worse. But we thank God that all went well. When time came for me to give birth, because of the condition, I could not give birth normally.
Yeah.
So I had to be put in for going to
CS.
For CS. Now, even during the CS, it was so serious that even during the CS, when the doctor was speaking the hospital, he was speaking a hospital that he knows he will not miss blood, meaning anything can go wrong. So you can imagine the fear that I was in.
Trauma.
The fear for 4.5 months.
Yeah.
But we thank God everything went on fine. So I give birth on a Thursday. All is well. I'm excited. The worst has already passed.
Yes.
So come Saturday night, everybody had left. I'm alone in the room with the baby. All of a sudden, fear gripped me. Fear that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I look around, I'm wondering, all of a sudden I'm afraid of the whole place. I'm looking at my baby, I'm afraid of my baby. So I'm not understanding. So I called my husband, who had already left, I told him that something is not right. I'm not feeling okay. So I tried putting on the television to see that I could get distracted at something like that, but nothing. Now it was worse. Now I was feeling like my mind, I'm losing my mind. So I called the nurses. They came in. The good thing, the nurse who came in quickly understood what was going on. We had no clue what is going on.
At this point, you're still in the hospital?
I'm still in the hospital. It's the third day. I remember CS, you're supposed to take 5 days in the hospital.
Yes.
So she comes in, she just now starts, she can't tell me exactly what is going on, but she just tells me it's okay. It's not the first time, you'll be fine. But I'm asking, can you explain to me what is going on with me? By that time, they had called my husband. My doctor had been called in to be told what was going on. That is when I was learning there's something called postpartum depression, I'm being told. By that time also, this thing had escalated. I would lose my mind, like I would lose my mind, it goes, it comes back.
What do you mean by that? What was exactly what's
like
happening?
You're losing consciousness. I can't recognize anyone. My mind, I'm lost somewhere in space. I can't identify who I am. I don't know. It's a feeling that you can't even explain. But all I know, I am lost. I can't identify myself who I am. I'm lost somewhere. Then I come back, and now again. So it was coming back. So my fear was I can go and never come back. Like I'm losing my mind.
And where is your baby at this point?
At that time, the moment this was discovered, I became very hysterical. Now when I was losing my mind, I became very hysterical. They had to take away the baby. Because now even I'm fearing the baby, I can't touch the baby. So they took the baby away to the nursery. And after that, the doctor, when he was called, he asked the nurses to give me a shot quickly so that I could sleep. Because now I was getting agitated and very hysterical. So when I woke up, I realized that the condition was still there. It had not gone. So the doctor had to come in. The psychiatrist was called in to come in. The psychiatrist immediately put me on medication because what he was now explaining to me that I had gotten a severe case of postpartum depression. What was very interesting, I went through clinic. All through. Never missed a clinic. No one ever mentioned postpartum depression. So it was my first time interacting with postpartum depression, and it was happening to me. And I could you hear babies cry.
What could happen really?
Babies are crying, and you're asking, is that my baby crying? And I don't know. The baby has been taken away, but I keep hearing a baby crying. So it was crazy like that. Then all of a sudden now I had lost. I don't feel like I couldn't sleep. That's why they had to give me medication. My appetite had gone. I was just in a mess. I'm just seated there.
Hold it there, Jen.
Yes.
We live at this point, you're in a mess. You can't eat, appetite gone, everything. Let's go to Margaret. So what is happening in her life? 9 months. Okay, there was bed rest. Everything went well, went for clinic, gave birth by God's grace. CS went well, then boom, things changed. So what is happening in the life of a mother at that point?
I think we start by appreciating her for coming out, Jane, to talk about this, her lived experience, because this helps another mother or someone else out there just to know that you can hit that low, but you can come up. So I think for me, it's really great that you're coming out to share this with us. So what happened? A number of things could have happened and were happening. Her state may not necessarily have started at the point at which she's in hospital. Did you say day 3 or day 2 after delivery? The third day after delivery, and it's through a CS. She talked about 4.5 months of lying in the house. You're not going to work, so your life is cut, and there's a total change in who you are. And then the constant fear every day of if I get up, if I turn in bed, something would happen. And sometimes we just have a way of our anxiety amplifying everything that you're experiencing. Even the normal sensations can just feel like it is something totally grave and, really serious. So the tension and the anxiety for 4.5 months. And then just her understanding the seriousness of her diagnosis given by the doctor. And like she just said, every day in the evening I would sit and say, thank God I'm alive today, because I know then anything can change anytime. That anxiety was too much. She doesn't have a social support system. She's not going out to hang out with her friends. She doesn't have any social interactions whatsoever. And so her world became home. And so the home is, you will sit and only wait for people to come back home in the evening to get the company that you need. She's a career woman, so you're also thinking, I'm home for 4.5 months. I'm going to be home after delivery. Probably, what does this mean for my career?
Yeah.
And the tension and the anxiety just kept on building and building. What would happen to my baby? What would happen to me? What would happen to my family if I'm not here? And so these chances are that, and I'm saying chances, because it may not be the accurate thing, chances are that actually her depressive state started during the 4.5 months that she was, that she was at home.
Okay.
And it wasn't peaked. Maybe the symptoms were not manifesting, and maybe the doctors and the healthcare professionals that she met for her antenatal clinic, they even never discussed and even wanted to find out, what is it for you to be at home with this kind of a serious diagnosis? What are your anxieties? So she had her own anxieties. They were never addressed. And so what could have been done different is immediately she received that diagnosis, the gynecologist would have recommended immediately that she needs to see a psychologist, someone who would help so that her anxieties, then she can deal with them. I'm imagining a mother, you're at home, you're not going to the kitchen, you can't prepare meals, you can't bathe your children, you can't, hang out with them, you can't play with them, you can't do everything. So you're just there. You're operating like from the bedroom to the living room to the bathroom, and that becomes your life. So that could have happened then. And then the fear that had been bottled up, the pent-up fear and all, then all of a sudden you have the baby, it's a CS, and the doctor goes further to say, you know what, I also need to make sure it's a hospital that meets conditions, 1, 2, 3. So that also just tends to, build on that fear. And then immediately women deliver. Then there is a deep with the estrogen levels. So the hormonal now imbalance again. And so that now could have been the perfect opportunity now to trigger that severe postpartum depression.
Okay. I know you could be talking about it, and my dear viewer, those watching us on Hop TV and following us at Hop TV Kenya on Facebook and YouTube, you could be having a question and wondering, what? I think they are talking about me. So please, the numbers are at the bottom of your screen. Ensure you SMS us on 22232, that is 22232. Our WhatsApp line is 0708 222 323, that is 0708 222 323. Those are the numbers to text in the questions that you have regarding postpartum depression. Have you experienced it? How was it? Did you get help? Let us know. And if you know anyone who really needs to hear about this, please share the Facebook and YouTube link with them so that they can benefit from tonight's discussion. So back to you, Margaret. So what are some of the symptoms that mothers need to look out for? Like telltale signs that, hey, you need to see a doctor, you could be having postpartum depression.
That's a good place to start, Grace. But allow me to just go back a little. There's baby blues. And there's postpartum depression.
Tell us about that.
And baby blues usually will last about 3 to 5 days after delivery. And baby blues also their symptoms tend to mimic the postpartum depression. So baby blues, you're just feeling sad, you're just feeling a little low, you're feeling a bit agitated, you don't have energy and all. But as the mother gets to spend time with the baby, then those fade away without much effort. There's no medical intervention needed. The mother just gets out of that situation with ease and without a lot of support required. But now, when we talk about the postpartum depression, because we're already talking about depression, which is chronic, the symptoms are severe. So the difference here is that the postpartum depression, the onset is at any point between the first few weeks up to about 1 year, and sometimes after a year.
It takes that long?
Yes, it can start at any point. So a few weeks after delivery and up to about a year, and for some people actually even after a year. So the first difference and the red flag is, when did it start? But then now for her, it started 3 days. So someone would also be saying, but hers started at 3 days and Margaret is talking about weeks later. So it's not necessarily that it can't start immediately, especially for the severe cases, but most often than not, it would, the first a few weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, sometimes 6 weeks after delivery, up to about a year. So what are the red flags? Number one is a change in mood. So the mother is oscillating and they are low, they are very sad. And when you talk about being low and sad, we are talking about most of the time, nearly every day. So most of the time, nearly every day, they are low and they are sad. You're talking about even the mother, they are not interested in things they would enjoy. They are feeling lethargic. You notice a change in eating patterns. So they're not eating well. And remember, this is a lactating mother, so they really need to eat. You're talking about a change in sleeping patterns. They are not sleeping. And that could also be they're taking too long to fall asleep, or they have inability to maintain sleep. So they sleep a problem with maintaining sleep, or they're waking up very, very, very early in the morning and they have trouble falling back asleep. They are constantly lethargic. You're talking about a mother who is not as interested with the baby. They'll be crying a lot more. They'll be feeling a lot more helpless, a lot more hopeless. In severe cases, then you're talking about a mother who has suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideation. You're talking about a mother who would even engage in self-harm. Like in some cases, you've seen mothers who engage in self-harm. The baby is crying, the baby needs attention, but the mother doesn't have the capacity to do that. And let's say this, it's not because they don't like the baby or they don't love the baby. It's because they are depressed. It's
and they
easy.
Know it.
And they don't know it. And it's easy for people to say, we think Margaret does not like this baby. That's different. That's not what it is. It's just that they don't have the capacity to take care of that baby. And everything feels like it's such a big effort. And when you see these symptoms consistently, then we are talking about a mother. The red flags are there. It's this need for attention. And usually the first red flag is when you notice a mother is not as keen to take care of the baby. The baby will be crying, they are watching. They are neglecting their sense of personal hygiene. They are not careful. They don't look like it's too much effort for you to go to the bathroom and do everything that you need to do. They are disconnected. They are withdrawn even from the family. They can't handle visitors. It's just taking a lot of effort. The risk, Grace, is just that inability to tell the difference between the baby blues and what depression is, and then also the inability by the family members to, pay attention to a young mother and just appreciate there's a change here. Things are not okay. And worse, if it is a new mother that we don't even know about her mothering skills.
No experience.
There's no experience. We haven't seen how she handled the first baby. So it becomes very difficult. it's even more difficult to tell what it is for a mother who is living alone. And does not have people around them, because a mother who has people around them it's more likely that someone will notice, we give you a cup of tea, it's still here. You didn't eat your lunch, you didn't finish your lunch, you didn't finish your dinner, you haven't taken a bath today, the baby is crying a lot more, and you're not attending to the baby. So for the mother who is alone, that means also they don't have any support. It's also very difficult also now for even those who would come around them to notice that all is not well.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's go to Jane before we get to a break. So you're at this point, no appetite, no nothing. Are some of the symptoms Margaret is talking about, did you experience any?
I experienced them all. And very severely, because I was disconnected. Basically, after we're released, I was put on medication, then we were released to go home.
Yes.
Here I am, I have my baby. I can't handle this baby. All I could do is breastfeed and give the baby away. I cannot connect to this baby. I cannot talk to this baby. I'm just there, disconnected. I'm in my own world. I am very, very sad. So sad. It's a sadness that you cannot say, I'm going to watch a comedy and feel better.
Yeah.
I am sad all the time. I cry all the time. I'm easily irritable. There's a irritability that I get so irritated when that child is crying. I get so irritated. I feel I'm in despair. I feel useless. I just want to sleep and never wake up. I would wish for those days that can I never wake up, and just because you're feeling bad all the time. It's like a cloud came and settled on top of your head and it has refused to go.
Yeah.
I lost interest in everything. I feel nothing. I do not want food. I have to breastfeed. So this baby became like a bother to me. Why do I have to breastfeed? Why can't this baby? In fact, I remember even saying, see, you give that baby none.
Oh, right.
And you can imagine, mothers, you want to bond with the baby, breastfeed. For me, I'm like, can I give the baby none? Why do I have to carry this baby?
Okay.
So those were the symptoms. I could not sleep, so I had to be given drugs to sleep because I could not. And then now the other flip side, some of those drugs were so strong, I'm given the drugs, I fall asleep completely, baby's crying. I have to be shaken to wake up. So it's a very hard thing. You have people coming to visit. Remember, you have lost interest.
Yes.
People come, you're wondering, why are they here? Why are they laughing? And you can't laugh. I told myself, by the way, when I'll be able to laugh again, but then laughing is a privilege.
Oh, yeah.
If I'll be given another opportunity to laugh, I'll be laughing.
Yes.
So much. Because I couldn't even laugh.
Did you experience the same symptoms during your first baby?
No, never. First baby, everything went. It was a normal birth. Everything went all. The baby blues, I went through it.
Yes.
It was just the first 2 weeks. I feel overwhelmed. I look at this baby like, oh my God, this baby is my responsibility. I cry kidogo. It ended. Yeah. Nothing. That one was nothing. So for me, this was a very big shock because it had never, ever happened.
Okay.
So it was all these things, feeling like dying. I couldn't be left with the baby alone, by the way.
What
for
are
the
you
first
thinking?
5 months.
What are you thinking?
I was just afraid of the baby.
Okay.
It's like for me, I was afraid of the baby. I will hurt this baby. I couldn't go anywhere alone. There was the fear, there was anxiety, fear of whatever I was going. So I couldn't go anywhere alone. I couldn't drive for that season of period, a very long period of time. So basically everything normal that I used to do, I could not. Even my brain was not working okay. I remember one time I went to the shop, just one of those times I try and do walks in the evening. I've gone to the shop, I have 100 shillings. I said, let me go to the kiosk and buy a few things. And I was given change like for 30 shillings. I'm trying to reconcile. I bought this and bought this. I've been given 30 bob. So what? I couldn't reconcile. My mind was not working.
Okay. What's there, Jane? We need to get to this quick break, and when we come back, we'll want to find out where did breakthrough ever come for Jane, and of course, Margaret will be helping us understand more. So you, as a caregiver, to a first-time mom or a second-time mom or a third-time mom who has postpartum depression? What do you need to look out for? How can you identify the signs? What support can you give? And you as a spouse, what do you need to do? What do you need to watch out for in relation to postpartum depression? Remember, this is Health Check. 0708 222 323 is our WhatsApp line, and the SMS line is 22232. When you come back, we'll be sampling some of your questions and comments. Keep it right here. Top TV Look and Live.
Hope TV is where you look and live, with an excellent selection of the best Christian programming consisting of local and international content of inspirational stories, talk shows, Bible commentary, youth, health shows, children entertainment, contemporary gospel music, extended times of worship, live broadcast, news, movies, drama, Christian ministry programs, and so much more. Hope TV is another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries, with over 45% of authentic and credible local content every week. Hope TV is a sister station to Hope FM, Kenya's leading Christian radio station, with footprints across the country. Tune in to Hope TV, where you look and live. Every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Spotlight.
Do you feel that they are in a place where they can effect a Barack Obama moment?
When you hear the word of God and you hear Jesus is speaking,
Real talk on real issues.
The Bible says faith without works is dead.
The truth of the gospel that will survive the time is not a health and wealth gospel.
When there is time to harmonize and bring one composite amendment.
With idealistic, thought-provoking guests.
So people come to be serviced, to be encouraged, to be empowered.
When the storm is over, you desire the closeness you have with God.
Hosted by Reverend Edward Furi. Hope TV is now available on GoTV Channel 103, Zuku Channel 873, Signet Channel 817, and Star Times Channel 026. Enjoy our uplifting content and family-friendly programming anytime. Hope TV, you look and live.
Just at the moment, many of those who believe in Jesus are feeling what I call the big squeeze. It feels like the militant forces in society that oppose the gospel have mobilized like never before. Hi, I'm Bernie Diamond, and welcome again to Fresh. Have you been feeling that too? And honestly, as we see governments enacting legislation to limit religious freedoms, as we see those militant forces of evil becoming more and more vocal, more aggressive in jamming, in shutting down the Christian voice, it can feel as though they're winning. There's this thing that rises up inside us that goes something like this. It shouldn't be this way. If God is the King of Kings, why isn't He doing something about this? Why do I feel so persecuted for my faith? Depending on where you live, perhaps there's nothing new in any of this. Or if, like me, you live in a place that's historically encouraged and accepted the Christian voice, maybe this rising tide of persecution comes as a shock, hence that feeling of the big squeeze. But it shouldn't come as any surprise at all. As Paul wrote to Timothy 2,000 years ago, everyone who wants to live showing true devotion to God in Christ Jesus will be persecuted. People who are evil and cheat others will become worse and worse. They will fool others, but they also are fooling themselves. Did you pick that? Everyone, no exceptions. If you're devoted to Christ, you will be persecuted. And that bit about things becoming worse and worse sure feels that way, doesn't it? But here's the good news. Those evil people, they're kidding themselves. Remember, your king is still on his throne. That's his word, fresh for you today. It's under pressure that coal is turned into diamonds. Amen. So if you're feeling that big squeeze, I'd love to send you a free copy of our latest life application booklet at ChristianityWorks.com, and you'll see that free offer right there towards the top of the homepage. Again, that's ChristianityWorks.com.
Welcome back to Health Check right here, Top TV, Look and Live. I hope you've gotten that glass of water and you're back quickly so that we continue the discussion about postpartum depression. I'm hosting Margaret Njehia. She is a clinical psychologist, and Jane Mikwa, a mother of 3 who went through postpartum depression. And keep your questions coming on 22232, 22232, and 0708 222 Actually, the number are right at the bottom of your screen. Allow us to get back to our discussion, and let's start with Margaret before we go back to Jane. So what triggers postpartum depression?
Postpartum depression, Grace, like many other mental illnesses or mental disorders, really don't have like what you'd say is a direct cause, but they are triggers, and that's why they are referred to as triggers. And for postpartum depression, one, it could be a very difficult pregnancy and very difficult delivery process. A mother who was highly stressed up during their pregnancy, that can also be a trigger. If this mother has a family history of depression, because then there is that genetic predisposition, so that can also put them more at risk of postpartum depression than any other mother. A mother who actually had a diagnosis of depression or bipolar or other mood disorders, then their risk for postpartum depression is also higher than a mother who doesn't have that history. There's also a relationship between alcohol, drug, and substance use and postpartum depression, just because of the impact of the drugs and the substances, depending on what someone is taking, whether they are depressive or whatever other effects they have. So there's that relationship. But also, looking at the triggers from a social perspective, it's the lack of support. So a mother who has less help, maybe this is not a first-time mother, she has other children, she has other responsibilities. Maybe this mother is actually the breadwinner and so can't even afford to be at home for that maternity leave for 3 months, needs to get up, has a busy office, has a business, she's like, everything in that family. So then she doesn't have time to sit and to, give herself time to go through the effects and to just, be with her baby and take care of herself. That mother is at risk. A young mother who also, or a new mother who also is living in a very toxic environment. So there is violence, whether it's emotional, psychological. It's a household that has a lot more demands on her. A mother struggling even to, even for her basic needs, even in terms of maternal nutritional needs, that can also be something. Those issues and those concerns can actually be triggers to postpartum depression. So it could be a cluster, it could be a combination, it could be just one thing that happened and that can trigger that. But the important thing is you also need, when we are looking and assessing, we like to look at what is the social support system and what's the support network that the mother has. So if she's doing everything else by herself, she's isolated, she's withdrawn, then that increases the risk, because that also means that she has more demands than the support that the mother needs.
And are there different types of postpartum depression, or it's just one?
The different levels of severity. So you can have someone who has mild symptoms. That means the symptoms are fewer. The cluster, the number of symptoms she's manifesting are fewer, and the intensity or severity is less. You can have a mother who is diagnosed at moderate and very, very severe. So when they are very severe, then we are also talking about a mother who's functioning, ability to take care of herself, take care of her baby, and even the family. Then it's highly impaired, as opposed to a mother who has less, it's a mild level, because the level of severity also impacts or gives guidance as to what kind of support that mother will need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Then let's go to Jane. So what kind of support system did you have?
Okay, when I look back, one thing that I really appreciate was the family support. Starting with my husband and the family and friends around me, they were there for me. That really helped. Because you can imagine, this thing has happened to you, you don't know what it is, you don't know whether you'll ever come back, because there's no one who could confirm to me, only people who had gone through it actually. Let me put it out there. Unless somebody has gone through it, they can't really help you at that time, because I wanted to hear it from somebody who has gone through, so that they can actually tell me, imagine you'll be fine. Yes. But anybody else, I could not hear it. That's the time I didn't want to hear about scripture.
The Bible says,
No. I wanted to hear, I have been there, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So the family set up, my friends, the church, they were there for me, the ministry, they would come, pray with me. Of course, I didn't want even them to be there. You see, remember, you don't even want visitors to come. Yes. But again, the fact that they were just there, that comfort to know that somebody is there, they're going to help, they'll take the baby. Somebody's going to help you cook. They're going to spend time with remember, I have my first daughter.
Yes.
Who, by the way, had to be told that mommy is sick. That's why she cannot hold you. I couldn't handle even holding my baby girl. And those are the most painful things during that time. You have your baby you've just given birth to. You have your older baby. I couldn't stand being around them, and you're supposed to give that, mother. At some point, actually, you feel that I'm failing. Have I failed as a mother? So, just having those people around me to pray with me, talk to me, help me, it was so important. Even others who are reaching out I actually watched something that they were discussing in NTV, and they talk about postpartum depression, and there's a lady who was talking about it. When they gave her number, I called her. She was one of the people who just told me, she held my hand and said, listen, you're going to beat this. I was there, I beat it. It made more sense to me than somebody else coming to give me scripture at that time.
Okay.
So for me, that support system, they may not have known what to do, but the fact that they were there helped. And of course, the doctor who was there with me. I had to see a doctor, psychiatrist, and I also had to see a psychologist.
Both of them?
Both of them at the same time.
Okay.
Because remember, the psychiatrist was giving me medication, the psychologist was helping me cope with it. So at first it was every week, then slowly by slowly the frequency started reducing. But the first 5 months, it was very intense. The severity was for the first 5 months. But even after that, the medication, they can't just stop the medication. I had to be weaned off slowly by slowly by slowly.
Yes.
But those are the people who really stood with me, supported me, understood, were there for me to beat it. Yes.
And I know during this season, you must have had so many myths, or misconceptions.
Yes.
About what you're going through. What are some of them? Before you go to Margaret to help
my
us. What was the most hurtful?
Whoa.
It's nice to hear them.
Yeah. Tell us.
One, I was told, who came to visit you in hospital? So I was told, we check. Who was the last visitor? I remember being told, the last person, what did they do to you? Back at home,
they look at you.
What happened to you? Oh my gosh, I realized that mental illness, there's a lot of myths going around, and yet it is a disease like a disease. Just like you say, when you get malaria, you don't start saying that there's a myth behind malaria. You go to the doctor, you get medication. But here I am being told, find out who came last. And I'm like thinking...
Can you even remember who came last?
I couldn't. And why would they...
To be a nurse who was the last person.
Are you getting that? So I was looking back to my picture, because even you're now convinced, maybe it was. Because honestly, to say the truth, postpartum depression, it's a very, from a Christian point of view, it's like a demonic condition. Because of what you go through, you're a live person, but you're like dead. Dead person walking. You don't want to live, you don't want to do anything, you're just there. Even showering, by the way, they would force me to go and shower. I don't want to shower because I don't have the strength. Every day I'm just there. I'm limp. I'm just there.
How long did it take you to heal, Jane? And how was the healing journey?
The first 5 months were very hard. They were the most severe. That one was all these things, intense emotions, intense pain, crying all the time. I can't do anything the first 5 months. So at least I can say after the first 5 months, there was a bit of a relief. But I was still on medication. So what the doctor would do, he started weaning me off slowly. If I was taking a full drug, they could put it into, you do a 3/4, then a half, then quarter to the very end, because they couldn't just stop like that. Otherwise I would go back.
Relapse.
And you have no clue. But then another problem is you're fearing, can this thing come, I relapse again? And you're just imagining the hell I've been through. I don't want to go there. Remember, I have a baby who had waited for how many years? 9 years. And I couldn't bond with my baby. Those are the painful moments for me in postpartum depression. I felt it robbed me of just spending time with my baby. After that long, I could just breastfeed, give out. And yet somebody's looking at you and wondering. I think you're talking about meat. Somebody's telling you, snap out of it. I say, you just watch. You try and do something interesting. It is not, you can't just do something interesting and let it go. It's a sickness. Your mind is sick. You need help. You need support. Yes.
Margaret, the myths, Now in your areas, you sit down with a mother going through postpartum depression. What other myths have you had, and how have you been able to help the mothers and also the support system around them? Tell them, this is a myth. This person is sick, just needs medical attention.
I think the one that really, just causes me a lot of concern is when I hear people tell a mother that you just are not interested in your baby. If you really want, you can be there for your baby. And, people, like even close family members saying, she's just looking for attention. What is depression? And people will be like, what is depression? She had a first baby, so what is this now? Can you just stop acting and, do what you need to do?
Snap out of it.
Snap out of it. Kind of a thing. So people just thinking that this mother is not serious, is acting up. And if she wants, she can be there for her baby. And of course, people will be like, this is not her first baby, so what's all this drama about? She was there before, she did a good job, so what is this now about? She's just a mother who doesn't want this baby.
Okay. Let's sample a few of your questions that have come in. Then we'll come back. Margaret, I'd really love you to share with us. So what's the treatment like? How is that journey like towards getting out of it? And thank you so much for writing in. Remember, our WhatsApp line is 0708 222 323. Please send them quickly before we wrap up the program. one of our viewers, Peter in Garissa, thank you for always watching, and says, I know Jane Akoth. That's a different name, yeah?
That's my maiden name.
You are churchmates at Sitam Valley Road.
Yeah.
I say, so sorry about what you went through, and thank you for sharing your story. He's encouraged all the way in Garissa.
Thank you.
Another one writes in and says, my name is Jessica. Jen is our performance coach at Cafe Delhi.
Cafe Delhi.
Says, thank you. And she's a real survivor and continues to touch lives every day. We thank God that she was able to overcome and come out strongly. Thank you guys for watching. We salute you. Dodi from Dodi Sambiroch. Thank you for watching. I hope I've gotten your name right, and is asking, please ask Jane, like, how did she fight the fear of postpartum afterwards? And you said you're a mother of 3, postpartum caught up with you at baby 2, so you went back for baby 3.
No.
What happened?
Good question.
Yes.
I keep saying if I was called into the boardroom to organize for the 3rd baby, I could have spoiled that miracle like flat. I didn't ask for the 3rd baby.
Wow.
That was a gift God gave, honestly.
Yes.
Because I didn't pray for it. In fact, when I discovered I was expecting, I was very angry with God. I was like, why? I did not ask you. I did not pray about it. And remember, I'd been told there's a 50% chance that whatever you went through, both the placenta previa and the postpartum depression, can happen again. So for me, I was done.
Yes.
But in between, before, because of the medication I was in, I was not able to be given a contraception.
Yes.
So in between that, in the middle when the doctor is still trying to sort me out, I discover I'm expecting.
Yes.
And I'm like, I was mad. So anyway, I made peace with God.
Yes.
And I said, fine, if you have insisted you're giving me something I've not prayed about, I accept. But let's agree. I will not go through what I went through again. If I hear I'm going for bed rest, I refuse. It was basically, I was now in a way rebelling and refusing. But the very interesting thing is this. That pregnancy was flawless. Nothing. I didn't even vomit.
Wow.
It was flawless. When I look back, for me it was like I was being comforted after being allowed to go through such a difficult time. But to answer Dodi, no, I did not plan for the 3rd one. I was thrown into the deep end. So now you see when the baby comes,
yes,
baby has to come.
Oh yes.
So, but he's been a source of joy. He's actually a boy. When
oh wow. Yeah.
I have 2 girls.
Yes.
So when I discovered the 3rd one who was coming was a gift and comforter.
Yes.
Was a boy.
Yes.
And it's been such a source of comfort and joy.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is what happened with the 3rd one.
Margaret, I know a mother could be watching or a couple watching and they could say, wow, we've just discovered, we expected again, and we went through postpartum depression, and they're at that place of fear and worry. How can they overcome that?
I think the most important thing is that I would tell anyone who is in that space is please seek therapy as soon as practically possible, because the main thing here is to address any anxieties and any concerns, any fears as early as possible, and find ways of coping. Does that necessarily mean they won't have moments of 1 or 2 episodes when you're anxious? Maybe not.
Yes.
But at least to find ways of effective coping with it, starting from acceptance place, and then also walking a very, very close walk with the doctors who also will come in to reassure, especially through the pregnancy journey, the antenatal clinics, and everything that they're doing to make sure that the mother is okay and the baby is okay. So when there is reassurance even from the doctors, it just helps to settle a bit of that fear and calms down. But therapy would come in, and to also know that it's not 100% that what happened in the previous pregnancy is actually actually going to be repeated in the next one. And just that awareness, especially for the mother, that I think I'm feeling a little anxious, then you can do something about it right then. I notice I'm feeling a bit low, then what you can do to induce a bit of positive energy, find different ways of coping. Expressing it is we always say you need to name it in order to tame it. So whatever it is they are going through, then they can talk about it, and that's where the reassurance comes in.
Okay. One of our viewers was asking what's the difference between postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis. Yes, what's the difference?
Okay. Psychosis is, let me just use the layman, the simplest way of explaining it. Depression is, this person is depressed, is low, like really, really down. Psychosis is the opposite. And that's now where you see a manic face. So it's true there is postpartum psychosis where now this person has elevated mood. They sort of are manifesting a manic face. I'm trying to find a nice word of explaining that manic. So it's because it's a psychosis, it resembles some symptoms of schizophrenia. So they are elevated mood, they have lost their orientation, they don't know where they are, they are not in a position to take care of themselves. And you could even see disorganized speech. In some instances, they're talking to themselves. It's the complete opposite. It fits under now, we look at it from a schizophrenic, a psychosis perspective, and it is there. Because you can, it's either baby blues, it's a postpartum depression, it's a postpartum psychosis, where you're talking about this individual is in a manic phase, and that one now is even in a worse phase in terms of taking care of the baby than even a mother with postpartum depression, because it's very easy for them to injure the baby. They are a threat, and they are danger, and they are risk to themselves, to the baby, and to those around them.
Okay.
Yes.
So what support can, a spouse give to a mother going through postpartum depression and just society as a whole?
Okay.
Yeah.
And let not the support start after delivery. Let the support start immediately the mother gets to know, or the lady gets to know, I am pregnant.
Yeah.
That's where the support should start.
Okay.
But not because she's just delivered, then we are all over this mother. Let it start earlier. Being there, taking over responsibilities, just understanding what's the pregnancy, and just appreciating the hormonal changes, appreciating. When the mothers are talking about, I want to eat this and that, it's not because they are just being fussy and that kind of a thing. That kind of a support. Understanding that she needs a bit more rest than under normal circumstances, even when she's pregnant. So ensuring the home environment is safe, is supportive, is conducive for her to have a very comfortable pregnancy, because then if that doesn't start, then this increases the risk for the mother to develop postpartum depression. So immediately after delivery, because labor and delivery is tough for anyone, and then the hormonal imbalance. So what the mother needs, I call it the power of 555.
Yes.
And the power of 555 is 5 days in bed, the first 5 days.
Wow.
Completely in bed.
Oh my gosh.
Repeat that again, please, Margaret.
The power of 555.
Oh Lord, have mercy.
So the first 5 days in bed, complete.
Doing nothing.
Doing nothing. You just will probably just wake up to go into the bathroom and come back, but in bed. And that also means with very few people getting close to the mother. And then the next 5 days on bed. That means you're just there. You're not out.
Just resting.
You're just there and you're resting. And the next 5 days next to the bed. That means 15 days this mother has just been in her bedroom, resting, doing nothing but resting. that means she's not worried about what's cooking for dinner, the house is clean, whether the other children are being taken care of. There's someone who is doing that. And the only thing this mother has to worry about is herself and the baby. And that also means that when the baby is awake, someone can come in and carry the baby to allow the mother time to sleep.
Yes.
What the mother needs is that anytime the baby is asleep, the mother should sleep. Take advantage of the moments the baby is asleep for the mother to sleep, because babies don't have no respect for the clock, night or day. Yes. So we encourage the mother to sleep as much as possible, even during the day. As long as your baby is asleep, sleep. That's not the time for you to worry about everything else. And then for the visitors, they won't like us very much this evening, but the power of 5, 15 days, 20 days, let the mother just sit in, time alone with the baby, because also the baby needs that attachment with the mother. And if we have to visit, keep it to minimal time, so that the mother is not seated in the bedroom and feeling like they are visitors. They think I'm being rude and uncourteous and that kind of a thing. So if we can allow the first 1 month, the first 6 weeks, we can come back after that. So she needs people around her to take over some of the responsibilities. So your girlfriends need to come and go to the supermarket and help you with that. Someone to drop the children to school, someone to take the children to Sunday school and to church and to every other responsibility, just so that you get the time that you need to rest. And that also means a house that is violent free. Yes.
Power 5, guys. Power 5. Isn't it? A good place to pause this program. Can you imagine? Time is just flown. But thank you. I want to appreciate you for coming. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Margaret, for coming. I believe our viewers, you've learned a thing or two. Remember, we'll be having a repeat of this conversation tomorrow, right here, Top TV, from around 10 or 11 there. James, 10, 11? Yes, one of those timings. And you can also catch up the conversation at Top TV Kenya on Facebook and YouTube. Share this with someone. But please take care of that loved one, a first-time parent, second-time parent. Anything you notice unusual, please visit a doctor to get help. My name is Grace Mutiso. I want to wish you a blessed night and thank you for joining us in today's conversation. God willing, let's do this again next week, same time, same station. Keep it Top TV. Look and live. Shalom and God bless you.